Have you ever seen those ugly dudes that pull the best baddies on the planet and you don't even know why? I mean, you might first assume that it is because that they have money or because they are fun. However, I propose a different idea. Because Vegeta, the most unusual character in the series of Dragon Ball, one that is an absolute savage and badass, has no job, no money, no family life insurance, no green card, yet pulls the best billionaire baddie in all of Dragon Ball! And on top of this, he manages to be the longest lasting rival of Goku! Pause. But simultaneously, he is also the most cucked, bitched, and splooshed on time after time. I mean, for God's sake, his literal design was even made to look as if he is as mentally deranged as possible. However, the way Vegeta's character is handled across the football field ends up being heavily different depending on who is actually writing him. Such as the first writer of Vegeta, the man, the myth, the cucker, Akira Toriyama. Because he was there when Vegeta was the main villain in the Saiyan saga, and he was such a substantial threat to the Z Fighters that it required Goku pushing his body to the absolute limit, getting jumped by 3 people simultaneously, tanking a spirit bomb, getting slashed by a sword from the most powerful character in Sparking Zero, and getting crushed by a filthy giant kid monkey who can't even use jujitsu. I hate this fucking monkey! Oh, great heavens! It was only at this point where he decided that it was time to hightail it out of there. A fun fact for the Fickle, however, is that originally, Vegeta was never actually supposed to survive. In fact, in the original draft of the manga, Vegeta actually gets killed. But thanks to his unexpected popularity, he survives. And in the wise words of Akira himself, how do y'all even like a man with this design? I mean, look at him. He is 4'3", he has a receding hairline, and a forehead so big that KSI himself has legitimate competition. But this fundamental change in Vegeta surviving would also shift the story in an entirely new direction into one of the best arcs in the entire series, the Namek Saga. And this is where we truly get to see how much of an absolute badass Vegeta truly is. Because he isn't just a brute who believes he can win because he is the prince of all 2 vegetables, but because he is tactful and he picks his battles to give him the best chance of victory and manages to slip under the radar from Frieza multiple times. But even with this, Vegeta would end up being completely outmatched when Frieza summons the Gooning Force. So Vegeta proposes the idea of teaming up with the Z Fighters to give them a fighting chance. And this alliance basically lasts for the rest of the arc so that they can achieve their goals at the same time. Unfortunately, however, Vegeta would end up falling to the hands of the same owner who destroyed his hockey team. Let's freaking go! This is very sad time. I feel nothing but empathy for vegetables. Son of a bitch! And ignoring bullshit power scaling Zenkai boosts that put Goku into his current position, he would end up achieving the Saiyan's lifelong goal of vanquishing Frieza. And with this major accomplishment, now comes a void in Vegeta's motivation. At least, that is, until he latches onto a new one. Goku's dick. Because when he achieved Super Saiyan, Vegeta's hubris was shattered into a million pieces. And he cannot be left standing as the prince of all watchers from the chair forever. So what he does in response is grind in the lab until he finally achieves Super Saiyan for himself. And now, Vegeta is at least equal in power to Goku, posing as a legitimate threat once he lays waste to the androids. Even Piccolo is low-key terrified of this man just because of how tactical and powerful he has become after he managed to take out the my 600-pound life Chaozu. However, all decent things must come to an end. And in Vegeta's case, 2 seconds. Because Akira, a top-class comedian who studied at the University of Boston, decided that now was the best time to start treating Vegeta as a literal joke. Because first in Foreskin, he suddenly designs Vegeta to look even more fucked up than usual, and then proceeds to absolutely demolish him by having him get humiliated by that bitch from Nashville. She breaks both of his jerk-off arms, crushes his lower back, and he's not even a Makima fan. So Vegeta, after losing his humongous streak of 1, goes back to training in the lab again to achieve Super Saiyan Grade 2 with the power of domestic violence. And once again, he manages to come out on top by putting Cell on fraud watch. But being as lucky as this bastard is, Vegeta suddenly starts acting like he has over 1,800 wins in Bed Wars, and decides to give in to his #1 weakness and make the biggest mistake of his life by letting Cell absorb that bitch from Six Flags. Which, now that I'm saying it out loud, I low-key just think that Vegeta was holding a grudge against 18. Like, why else would he allow him to achieve his perfect cop? But once again, Vegeta receives divine back shots in the exact same place in his back as he did from Android 18, and he gets the ultimate deja vu.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
But this is fine, because Vegeta is still atop in this bottom society. That is, at least until Goku comes out of the time chamber, having trained less time than Vegeta, and having obtained a much greater amount of power with his superior method of training, placing Vegeta with the normies. Oh, but if that wasn't worse, he also gets surpassed by his literal son, too. Yeah, and before Vegeta can even train up to being shit, Goku sacrifices himself for the greater good of the Earth. But how about Vegeta? What is he supposed to do now that his literal motivation for fighting is gone? And honestly, he doesn't even know. And he breaks to such a great degree that he vows that he is no warrior and he will never fight again. But when Goku returns in the Boob Saga, Vegeta suddenly recoups his lost motivation and wants to challenge Goku because of the training he has done. But ultimately, the new big bad comes along to ruin his good times. Plus, I'm pretty sure Goku is still stronger than Vegeta despite his best efforts. So being a little angry, he decides to throw a hissy fit in order to get his way, and lets himself get taken over by the Bubblegum Manager, and they end up fighting for a while, until Vegeta finally realizes that there is simply more important things that they need to attend to right now. After all, given all the time that he spent on Earth over these last few years, he realizes that at this point, there is only one thing that he must do, and that is put their fight on hold and sacrifice himself for the greater good of the Earth. No longer being the selfish, evil villain that he once was, but a man that was willing to sacrifice it all just so his loved ones would have a shot at living.
Did I just catch you wanting to be shit?
Even at his most defining character moment, bro still cannot stop getting bottomed while being 4'3". And even when he comes back later, he's basically just used as a figurative and literal punching bag. Because firstly, he comes back just to get bitched by Super Boo because he absolutely does not want to fuse with the guy who held Super Saiyan 3 back from him. So he's understandably pretty pissed off at Goku.
Garrett, why would I ever fuse with you?
Bitch, this is the only relevance you got in the story. Let peep game and lock the fuck in.
I fucking hate you so much.
But skipping forward a bit, Goku is now fighting Kid Buu. And like the freaking dumbass he is, he decides that instead of just, finishing the job for the sake of his literal universe, because this dude literally blew up your entire Earth and has been blowing up multiple planets, so it'd probably be best to take him out right now, right? Well, no, because Goku instead wants to give Vegeta a turn on top. But Vegeta, like the bottom he is, decides to get Goku his 1 minute to charge up his stamina. And he gets his ass pummeled hard. cherry on top of this already bullshit situation, Goku doesn't even charge up at all. In fact, he loses all of his stamina! It is only the second time Vegeta receives his ass-beating compilation that he is able to contribute something to Goku. But this time, it can only be considered partial credit, since Boo, and the most important character in the series, comes to help this time. Oh yeah, and something else that I must mention as well during this arc is how Vegeta during this fight actually acknowledged Goku as being the strongest and truly the best. This one speech alone causes there to be two branching paths of possibilities for Vegeta's character. First of these paths being Vegeta becoming assimilated with the Earthlings and finally enjoying his peaceful existence on Earth. I mean, even when Goku leaves to train with Oob, Brother has achieved such a high level of peace that this event no longer bothers him. The second path, however, is something that we pick up on in Dragon Ball Super. Because when Toei Animation took over a lot of the writing for Dragon Ball Super, they were basically given a basic outline of what Akira wanted. But outside of that, they basically had creative freedom with minimal supervision. But the main thing to consider in how Toei actually handles Vegeta is the fact that they are already familiar with Akira's game. They have worked with him for multiple years on the adaptation of Dragon Ball and were primarily responsible for GT, which we know followed the events directly after Z without any involvement from Akira Toriyama. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, to answer that question, it's basically to show how Vegeta continues to progress in GT in comparison to something like Super. Because in GT, they technically treat his character with more respect. But the main thing about his character is that he's also just kind of settled, not even obtaining Super Saiyan 3 and requiring Blutz waves in order to get Super Saiyan 4. But the main difference between GT Vegeta and Super Vegeta,
he's making Vegeta look like a defenseless child,
is the fact that he simply doesn't prioritize his rivalry with Goku as much. He more so just prioritizes the safety of the Earth.
Kakarot, it's not like I'm saving the Earth for you or anything. Baka!
So when Toei is working alone in the writing, they generally put a little bit more respect on Vegeta's name, but also tend to walk him down the path of settling a little bit too early in my opinion. When Toei is actually working alongside Akira Toriyama, however, like in Dragon Ball Super, they will happily cuck Vegeta at every corner possible. Because firstly, we got Resurrection F.
Out of the way, Vegeta! I need to establish my main protag status,
And if that wasn't enough, this Vegeta proceeds to get gifted 10 subs on his Twitch stream, which means that now it is time for him to endure time-breaking backshots. He will also become a member of the National Circus against Goku Black. Because of course he does! But at least he has a brief encounter where he temporarily overpowers the self-dynamic diddler, which honestly doesn't last long for his anti-cuckery spree because of course it does. It is only until the Tournament of Power where Vegeta's chair finally begins to break. Ayo? Because after he gets his ass slapped again by Jiren the Gay, he achieves Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, the strongest transformation outside of Ultra Instinct, which manages to overpower a literal god of destruction. So hypothetically, Vegeta being the second strongest warrior on Universe 7 should be able to be one of the longest lasting people in the tournament, right? Well, no, because he ends up getting thrown off the stage after running out of stamina once. Like Goku, he's the main anime protagonist, so that's whatever. But Frieza? How many times did Frieza run out of stamina and fall into a coma while actively being given a choice to come back multiple times? Like, Frieza was bitch made, I know, but he at least had the opportunity to get his get back. Vegeta though? Nah. He gets his Kaba side quest, which is wholesome and shows how he's actually mature, and a banger speech after he gets sidelined. Okay, but something I will say is that post Dragon Ball Super, Akira actually becomes much more involved with writing Vegeta's character, and he finally gives him his flowers. He allows Vegeta to actually look like a badass in the Broly movie and not spread his cheeks for the first time since My 600-Pound Life Chiaotzu. Or the superhero movie where Vegeta, for the little bit of screen time he gets, actually defeats Goku in their training? Like, his physical winning streak against Goku remains uncontested to this day! I mean, that's also ignoring the fact that we're just ignoring how many times he's lost mentally to Goku. But the simple fact that Akira is willing to show these little moments of Vegeta's victories just goes to show that when he tries to write Vegeta, he occasionally doesn't throw him into the cuck chair. However, Daima is a weird one, because technically, Vegeta dominates in every way, shape, or form. He even gets Super Saiyan 3, and not only bitches a main baddie that isn't the Lorax, but also the main baddie, and would have been able to kill him if he didn't have regeneration abilities like Boo. Okay, look, quick side tangent, but like, I know they write these villains this way to make them invincible, but I feel like it's just a lazy excuse to not actually make the villain smart or do anything meaningful. Like, Goma doesn't have shit. He's literally just a dude that exists that happened to get his hands on power, and that is quite literally it. There's nothing cool or unique or inherently terrifying about him. It's just the simple fact that he cannot die that makes him an actual threat. But anyway, this Vegeta badassery doesn't last long, because Goku gets handed another transformation so that he can one-up Vegeta once again. Every freaking time, Akira, come on! We were doing so good! But there is one last writer that has their own take on interpreting Vegeta's character, and that person is none other than Toyotaro. When Toyotaro was tasked with writing Vegeta, he noticeably gave him more respect than Toei or Akira. And the first instance that we can see of this is in the Goku Black arc, where he actually gives Vegeta more than enough opportunity to showcase his badassery by making Goku Black spread it. Toyotaro also brings back the character development Vegeta had obtained from the Buu saga when he tells Trunks to heal Goku instead of him because he is the stronger one, showing that the Buu saga was unfortunately not just a fever nightmare that it pictured up. Son of a bitch. Vegeta even suggests that he and Goku fuse. Yes! Vegeta suggested this! Oh, and this is despite definitely not wanting to touch tips with Goku again. Now, apart from this, most of Vegeta's writing stays the same. But where Toyotaro truly sets himself apart are the events after Dragon Ball Super. Like the Moro arc, for example, shows Vegeta actually going off on his own path to train rather than just following in Goku's footsteps. And one of the main things he does is train on Yardrat in order to unlock some unique abilities, since, you know, Vegeta has only really specialized in finisher moves up until now, or his training to unlock Ultra Ego, since Ultra Instinct was simply just a transformation that didn't fit his fighting style. All in all, Toyotaro offers that tactful aspect of Vegeta's character, which I feel that we don't see a whole lot of after the events of the Namek saga. And it's pretty clear that he at least respects Vegeta a great bit, because in his prior series, Dragon Ball AF, Toyotaro actually respects Vegeta enough to make him one of the main protagonists, achieving Super Saiyan 4 and even 5 to take on the main bats. And something to know is that Dragon Ball AF actually takes place after GT. And the main issue I had with GT was how Vegeta's character kind of felt like he just settled in, not really training for anything higher until he eventually just gets handed Super Saiyan 4. Dragon Ball AF, however, actually feels like Vegeta is taking his role as an Earth protector very seriously, to the point where he is willing to train and obtain Super Saiyan 5. However, the reason Akira picked up Toyotaro to write in the Dragon Ball Super manga in the first place was because he also decided to do the typical Vegeta cuckery in Dragon Ball AF. God dang it. Because once again, again, Goku comes in to finish the main bad. Honestly, the main difference between Toyotaro and Akira Toriyama is just the fact that he handles it in a slightly nicer way than Akira did. So it's like he technically respects Vegeta more because he didn't give him frontal lobe back shots, but not enough for him to be stronger than Goku. Even though Goku was unconscious for like 3 years, training inside the Dragon Balls or some shit, being stronger than Super Saiyan 5 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4, like what the fuck is this shit? But in conclusion, what we can say about Vegeta's character is how he ends up being drastically different depending on who is writing him. And if there is one thing that is universal, it is that the cuckery and misuse of Vegeta will unfortunately never truly cease. Maybe some people will be nicer about how they portray it than others, but all in all, giving Vegeta a legitimate opportunity to not sit in the cuck chair honestly feels like nothing more than a Vegeta wet dream. Or a living nightmare, depending on who you ask. But that is all. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.